Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how to use these study guides. It's really important that you complete these, that they will help you with your online quizzes because they're open book, and it will help you while you're reading in your textbook and being able to complete your discussion board assignments. And then in addition to those two things, it will also help you with your midterm and final and for your writing assignment. So I've already clicked on these, so I'm going to just go ahead and pull them up. So for this part one, our content is elements and principle of art. The elements are like shapes and colors and values, and the principles are the composition of those elements. And so as you look at this study guide, at the beginning here, it's going to explain the image and also the element or principle of art with it. So for this example, I actually have a photograph from your textbook, and this goes with number 2. And so this is an example of how you should complete the study guide. So the vocabulary word is contrast. You're going to look up the definition using the glossary of your book. Then you're going to also want to study it with the image. In this particular case, for contrast, we have italicized the word obey. That's the title of the artwork, and the artwork is by artist Shepard Fairey. So here it is in your book, and then it will tell you who the artist is, which is over here, Shepard Fairey. And then you can see quickly that contrast is right there beside that image. And you need to know, so this is in addition to the vocabulary for contrast, you need to understand because you're going to see this image on your test, you're going to want to know in multiple choice why that particular element or that particular principle of art was used to discuss that work of art. And so that's what you're going to do throughout these. Now, some of the vocabulary do not have images, and so you just have to know the definition. But most of them, you'll see they do have them. And again, that's italicized, and these are located in your book. Now, some of these images occasionally may be in a different chapter. So what you would need to do is either look up the artist or look up the title in the back of your book for the page number so you can see it. And I have students who sometimes make flashcards and they print the pictures out. I guess they take the pictures from online, I'm not sure. But I know students have really problem solved to figure out how they could understand the relationship between the artwork and that vocabulary word. Okay, so for part 2, we're not discussing that vocabulary anymore. The idea is that you know it, you own it, so now we're talking about the different ways of making art. So what we're going to look for is, okay, what is the process? And so contour, for example, that's a vocabulary word. That's the outline that defines a form. There also are, if you can see, this is italicized artworks for you to know. So for drawing, you would need to know what the material is. So here's the drawing, that's self-portrait, and it actually says that here. And then right beside that, well, actually, it's hard to see it from this video screen, but self-portrait, and then it says graphite on paper. So you write graphite here. Let me see if I can find another example that might be one you already know. Well, I don't, but hopefully that will click. If it doesn't, you can ask me. But like self-portrait and profile to the left, I believe, is in charcoal. The Tub by Edgar Degas is in pastels. So you can, like I said, you can see what the medium or media is just by finding the title there on the side margins next to the image. So for this test, you have to know the vocabulary for your quizzes, and mostly the images will be on your midterm and your final. But anyway, you're going to need to know what that material is that was used with that artwork. So self-portrait, graphite. Okay, so let's go to part 3. So this is the art history portion. This is what's going to make up your final. And this you have 3 different periods of art, and I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. For the first, let's see, that's going to be the first unit 7, I think it is. Focuses on just 3 chapters, and those artworks are prehistoric, Middle Ages, and classical. And then your no, the 7th unit, I'm sorry, the 7th unit starts with 3.3. That one, let me scroll down. Instead of art period, it's location. So when you see that image, again, the images are going to be italicized, like you can see here, the Moai ancestral figures on Easter Island. So you would want to write Polynesian islands there for all of those. Let me see what else. Okay, so now for your last unit, this is unit 8. For this one, and remember they're broken up like that because of your online quizzes. For your final though, all of unit 6, 7, and 8 will all potentially be on your final. So, that's just for you to remember that. You can have the title of artworks. You're going to identify the period. So all of these are going to be classical. All of those are classical. And then here, all of these would be modern. All of these are postmodern. And so if you're thinking like, what does that mean? Here's classical, modern, and postmodern. So as your tests are multiple choice, you'll have A, classical, B, modern, C, postmodern. You'll have an image, and you just have to know which of those periods it is. So what this, for each section, you'll see that there's this there's one for that, and also for the earlier one. For each art period, there's a 3D and a 2D example, and then it explains what the time period is. You don't have to memorize any of this. All this is, like it says above, it says for reference. This is not on your test. It's only there to help you process the art periods so that when you look at the images from your study guide that are in your book, you would understand, okay, this painting, I see now why it's considered classical as opposed to Middle Ages. Like here's Mary with Jesus, very different looking than this Mary and Jesus, and so they're different styles. It's because one's Middle Age and one is classical. So don't panic right now, because as you go through the online videos, I'll talk about those things individually. I just wanted to give you an overview of how to use the study guide. So you're going to again see the title, identify, okay, so what, what in this case, what's the location? You would put Americas because of where it is. 3.5. So all the way to 1 through 3 would be Africa, and 4 through 6 would be the Pacific Islands. And then also looking up the vocabulary. So I hope that this helps you. Again, feel free to ask any questions. And I guess that's it.